The waiter took pity on a beggar girl and allowed her to sing for food in the restaurant when the boss arrived. The city was beginning to bid farewell to the day as the last rays of sunset filtered through the tall buildings, painting the bustling streets in shades of orange and pink. In an elegant corner of the financial district, the restaurant Symphony was preparing to welcome its distinguished diners. Its glass facade reflected the last rays of the sun, and the restaurant's name gleamed in golden letters, promising not just a culinary experience but a spiritual one as well. Inside the restaurant, John Smith was overseeing the final details before opening the doors to the public. At 45 years old, John was a man of distinguished appearance, with a touch of grey in his well-groomed hair and a tailored suit that reflected his success. Though Symphony was the result of years of hard work and passion for gastronomy and music, there was something in John's eyes that hinted at a depth and melancholy that success had not dispelled. As John reviewed the evening's special menu, Leonard and Beth, the restaurant's managers, arrived at the main entrance to start their shift. Both shared an unspoken understanding of how Symphony needed to be managed to maintain its reputation for excellence and exclusivity. However, that afternoon, something unusual caught Leonard's attention as he approached the entrance. A small girl, no older than 10, was sitting on the sidewalk right in front of the restaurant. Her brown hair was tangled, and she wore clothes that had clearly seen better days. Despite her shabby appearance, there was a determination in her dark eyes that made Leonard stop. "Can I help you?" Leonard asked, kneeling to be at the girl's eye level. She looked up at him, her eyes showing a glimmer of hope. "I need work," she said firmly, though her tone revealed her youth. "I don't want charity. I want to earn money for my family." Leonard exchanged a glance with Beth, who had approached after noticing her colleague's pause. Beth, always pragmatic and conscious of the restaurant's image, frowned slightly. "It's not common for Symphony to hire someone so young, especially under these circumstances," Beth commented, looking at the girl with a mix of concern and skepticism. However, Leonard, moved by something he couldn't explain, felt compelled to give the girl a chance. "Do you know how to do anything? Any special skills?" he asked, trying to find a justification for helping her. The girl stood up, wiping her hands on her worn-out skirt. "I can sing," she stated simply. "My grandmother taught me." The idea seemed far-fetched. Symphony was known for its sophisticated live performances of classical and jazz music, not for giving the stage to a beggar girl. Yet something in the girl's determination and the memory of his own childhood, marked by struggles and dreams of something better, made Leonard make an impulsive decision. "Let's give it a try," Leonard said, earning a look of disbelief from Beth. "If the customers enjoy it, she can stay and sing tonight." With a mix of nervousness and excitement, Leonard guided the girl, Anna, inside Symphony, while Beth followed, still uncertain about the decision but trusting Leonard's instinct. Meanwhile, John, unaware of the small revolution beginning at the entrance of his restaurant, remained immersed in his preparations, not knowing that the night would bring an unexpected turn that would shake the foundations of his perfectly ordered life. The atmosphere in Symphony that night was charged with anticipation. Regular patrons and some new faces filled the elegantly decorated space, enjoying the exquisite flavors and the soft background music that always characterized the restaurant. Amidst the murmurs of approval and discreet laughter, no one expected the evening to hold such an unusual and moving surprise. As the guests savored their dishes, Anna prepared herself in a small improvised dressing room behind the stage. Leonard had found a clean blouse and skirt that one of the employees had brought for emergencies. Despite the simplicity of the clothes, on Anna they seemed like a gala outfit. Beth, still skeptical but unable to ignore the spark of hope in the girl's eyes, helped braid her tangled hair into a neat plait. "Remember, just one song," Beth instructed, trying to maintain professionalism despite the unusual situation. "If it doesn't work, this will be your only chance." Anna nodded, understanding the gravity of her trial. Though her heart was pounding in her chest, her grandmother's teachings gave her confidence. She knew that music was her only key to changing not just her destiny, but also her family's. At the other end of the restaurant, John mingled with the customers, his smile ever present but his mind distant. He hadn't noticed the small commotion caused by Anna's arrival, nor the decisions Leonard and Beth had made in his absence. "And now, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to a very special voice tonight," Leonard announced, taking the microphone with a mix of nerves and anticipation. The murmurs ceased as Anna appeared on stage. Her small, fragile figure contrasted sharply with the opulence of the surroundings. Some customers looked puzzled, others curious. Anna took the microphone with trembling hands, closed her eyes for a moment, and then, with a deep breath, began to sing. The song was a simple but emotional melody, a Spanish ballad that spoke of hope and loss. Anna's voice, surprisingly clear and mature for her age, filled the space, each note resonating with deep feeling. As she sang, the initial skepticism of the audience transformed into awe. Conversations faded away. Only Anna's voice remained, taking everyone on a journey of raw and authentic emotions. John, upon hearing the beginning of the song, stopped in his tracks. An inexplicable feeling washed over him. Something in Anna's voice touched him in a way he hadn't expected. He approached quietly, watching from the shadows, his heart beginning to beat in time with the music. When Anna finished, the silence stretched on for a few seconds that felt like an eternity. Then, as if awakening from a dream, the applause erupted, strong and sincere. Anna, with tears in her eyes, made a small bow. She looked over to where Leonard and Beth were watching her with a mix of pride and amazement. John approached Leonard, his voice low and urgent. "Who is she?" he asked, his curiosity mixed with an emotion he couldn't fully understand. "A girl who just wanted a chance," Leonard replied, watching Anna leave the stage with a smile that had won over everyone. That night, Symphony was not just a stage for haute cuisine and select music, but also for an act of compassion that would begin to weave new destinies, both for Anna and for John, whose stories were about to intertwine in ways neither could anticipate. After Anna's impactful debut, Symphony closed its doors that night with a different air, filled with whispers and speculations about the little singer who had touched everyone's hearts. As the last customers bid farewell, John retreated to his private office at the back of the restaurant, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts. Sitting behind his mahogany desk, John couldn't stop thinking about Anna's voice. Something in its tone, in the raw emotion it conveyed, took him back to a time and place he had tried to forget. He pulled an old photograph, worn with time, from a drawer, a picture of himself, younger, smiling, against the rustic backdrop of the Sierra de Cazorla. Nostalgia and regret intertwined in his chest. In those days, John had found an escape from the frantic city life in that quiet mountain village. There he met Lucia, a free-spirited woman with an enchanting voice who taught him to appreciate the simplicity and beauty of rural life. They had fallen in love quickly, and he had promised to return to her after sorting out his life in the city. But the fear of changing his destiny and the responsibilities awaiting him had held him back, and he never fulfilled that promise. As memories flooded his mind, John was startled by a soft knock on his office door. It was Leonard with a cautious expression. "John, you need to see this," he said, extending his phone towards him. It was a video that one of the customers had recorded of Anna singing. It was already circulating on social media, garnering views and moving comments. John watched it, his heart tightening as he saw the pure emotion on Anna's face as she sang. "What are we going to do?" Leonard asked. "She's special, John. We can't just let her go." John nodded, making his decision at that moment. "Arrange a meeting with her and her family tomorrow. We're going to find a way to help her to do the right thing this time," he said with determination, his voice carrying a resolve he hadn't felt in years. The next morning, John and Leonard sat at the same table where Anna had sung the night before. Anna arrived accompanied by a tired but dignified woman, her mother, who looked around with a mix of awe and nervousness. "Anna has told us a bit about her situation," John began, looking at the girl and her mother. "Symphony is willing to offer Anna an opportunity, not just to sing, but to grow in an environment that nurtures her talent." Anna's mother, emotional and grateful, nodded with tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Smith. Anna has been through so much, and this could change our lives," she said, her voice trembling. As they spoke, John couldn't stop looking at Anna, seeing in her not just the echo of the child that might have been his if things had been different, but also a chance for redemption, a chance to right the wrongs of the past and perhaps in some way make peace with the man who once promised to love Lucia and never returned. As dawn painted the still quiet city streets in gold, John found himself already awake, reflecting on the events of the previous day. Although he had agreed to help Anna and her family, part of him couldn't shake the feeling of being overwhelmed by the magnitude of the decision he had made. Symphony was his life, and now he was about to intertwine his fate with that of a little girl he had met purely by chance. While sipping his morning coffee, his phone rang with an unexpected call. On the other end was Eduardo, his old friend and one of the restaurant's most loyal customers. "John, you have to tell me how you found that extraordinary singer." Eduardo's voice was a whirlwind of enthusiasm and curiosity. John, surprised and confused, took a moment to respond. He hadn't officially announced Anna as part of the restaurant, and he certainly hadn't expected her performance to have such an impact. "Eduardo, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I wasn't aware of her performance until last night," John admitted, trying not to reveal his total bewilderment. "Well, consider yourself lucky then. Her voice, there's something about it that simply can't be described. It's emotional, deep, almost as if she's singing directly from her soul," Eduardo continued, his tone one of genuine admiration. Hanging up the phone, John felt even more pressured but also intrigued by the power Anna seemed to have over others, a power he himself had experienced that night. Determined to clear up any misunderstanding and to get to know the girl who had suddenly become the center of attention, John headed to Symphony. Upon arriving, he found Leonard and Beth already deep in discussion about how to integrate Anna in a way that would benefit both her and the restaurant without compromising its reputation. "I need to understand how we got here," John said, interrupting the conversation. "Leonard, tell me exactly what happened." Leonard explained the situation from the beginning, how Anna had come looking for work and how her impromptu audition had become an overnight sensation. As he listened, John couldn't help but feel that there was something more, something that perhaps he himself needed to uncover. "We're going to do something more formal tonight," John decided. "I want everyone to see and understand why Anna is special, and more importantly, I need to see her perform again." That night, the restaurant was even fuller than usual, with customers who had heard about the prodigious new singer. Anna, modestly but elegantly dressed thanks to Beth's efforts, stepped onto the stage with newfound confidence. John watched from the shadows, his mind and heart in conflict. As he listened to her sing, the emotions he had tried to suppress about his past, about Lucia, began to surface with an intensity he hadn't expected. Anna's voice was an echo of memories and unfulfilled promises. When the performance ended, the applause was deafening. John slowly approached Anna, who was coming down from the stage with a mix of relief and happiness. "Anna, we need to talk," he said softly, guiding her to a quiet corner of the restaurant. "Yes, Mr. Smith," she replied, her expression serious, sensing the gravity of the moment. "Tell me more about yourself, about your family. Where does that strength in your voice come from?" John asked, not just as her employer, but as someone who inexplicably felt deeply connected to the girl's story. What John discovered that night not only changed the dynamic of his relationship with Anna, but also confronted him with truths about himself that he had tried to avoid for too long. Anna was more than a girl with a pretty voice. She was a living reminder of his past, of the choices he had made and those he had yet to make. The dim light of the private corner in Symphony gave an almost confessional air to the encounter between John and Anna. While most of the restaurant was immersed in post-dinner euphoria, John was trying to reconcile the past with the present through the answers of a girl who seemed to carry secrets he never expected to uncover. "Where are you from, Anna?" John asked, trying to keep his voice calm. "From a small village in the mountains near the Sierra de Cazorla," Anna replied, her voice low but clear. The mention of the Sierra de Cazorla made John feel a knot in his stomach. It was the place where he had met Lucia, the love he had abandoned. "And your family?" John continued, fearing the answer. "My mother's name is Lucia. She taught me to sing, but now she's sick and can't work. I came here to help her," Anna said with a mix of pride and concern. John's heart stopped. Lucia. It couldn't be a coincidence. The woman he had loved and promised so much to was named Lucia, and she had lived in the Sierra de Cazorla. "I need to do something important tomorrow. I'm going to visit your mother with you. It's necessary," John declared firmly, driven by the need to confront his past. The next day, The journey to the mountain village was a silent prelude to what John knew would be an emotionally charged meeting. Upon arriving, Anna guided John to a modest apartment where Lucia lived. When Lucia opened the door and saw John, her face shifted from surprise to recognition and then to disappointment. "John," Lucia said in a voice that held years of pain, "why are you coming now after all this time?" John, seeing the pain in Lucia's eyes, felt emotions overwhelm him. "Lucia, I'm so sorry. There's no excuse for what I did, for my cowardice." The words tumbled out, sincere and rushed. Tears began to form in his eyes, a man who rarely showed such vulnerability. "I thought of coming back so many times, but I always found a reason to stay in the city, away from here." Lucia looked at him intently, her disappointment palpable. "You left a void, John, a void that didn't just affect me, but also our daughter." Her words were sharp, each one a reminder of the consequences of his actions. John, with tears now streaming down his cheeks, stepped closer to Lucia, though she instinctively took a step back. "I didn't know about Anna. If I had known, nothing would have stopped me. Lucia, she's incredible, and she reminds me so much of you. I need to do the right thing now. For both of you, please, let me try to make up for some of the damage I've caused." Lucia watched John, emotions crossing her face as she evaluated the sincerity of his words. Finally, she nodded slowly. "It's late, but here you are. Anna needs support, and if you really want to help, I won't stand in your way. But this isn't just about what you need to do now, John. It's about what Anna needs, what I need after all these years." John committed to being present, to supporting both Lucia in her illness and Anna in her development, a commitment he was determined to fulfill this time. After the emotional and revealing visit to Lucia, John found himself in a state of deep introspection as he drove back to the city with Anna by his side. The girl looked out the window, lost in her own thoughts, perhaps wondering what John's new promise would mean for her future and her mother's. Upon arriving at Symphony, John went straight to his office, determined to set his plans in motion for supporting Lucia and Anna. He called a meeting with his financial and human resources teams to discuss how they could facilitate Lucia's medical treatment and ensure a stable environment for Anna. "I want Lucia to receive the best treatment available. Also, it's imperative that Anna has access to quality education and continues to develop her musical talent here at the restaurant," John explained to his team. The team nodded, impressed by the determination and new empathetic direction John was taking. As the preparations were set in motion, John decided to spend time with Anna, taking her to a nearby park to talk more about her interests and dreams. "Anna, I know these changes are big and can be overwhelming, but I want you to know you can trust me. I'm not just going to take care of your mother, but also you," John said, genuinely committed. Anna, still processing the rapid changes, looked at John with a mix of hope and caution. "Thank you, Mr. Smith. I want to learn more about music and maybe, one day, help other people like me," Anna responded, her voice firm but filled with emotion. Moved by her maturity and determination, John promised to enroll her in music and singing lessons, as well as ensure that her education would not be interrupted. A few days later, John and Anna visited Lucia at the hospital where she would begin her treatment. Lucia, though weak, received John with a faint but meaningful smile. The previous tension had given way to a fragile truce, sustained by the hope of what John was beginning to build with his daughter. "Lucia, I'm here not just to support you, but to make sure that you and Anna never lack anything. I've spoken with the doctors, and everything is arranged for your treatment," John informed, carefully holding Lucia's hand. "Thank you, John, not for me, but for Anna. She deserves a better future, and it seems now she'll have it," Lucia said, her voice filled with relief and gratitude. The moment was profoundly emotional, filling the room with a silence heavy with promises and new responsibilities. John felt the weight of his promises, but also a clear resolution. This was not just about personal redemption, but a deep obligation to his daughter and the woman he once loved. Back at Symphony, John implemented a support program for employees in need of financial or medical assistance, inspired by his commitment to Lucia and Anna. This change marked a new chapter in the management of his restaurant, one that emphasized compassion as much as culinary and musical excellence. It was a rainy day with drops gently tapping against the hospital windows where Lucia was receiving treatment. John sat beside her, watching as she slept peacefully after one of her treatment sessions. The room was quiet, save for the occasional footsteps of medical staff and the murmur of rain against the glass. John couldn't help but feel reflective. Each visit to the hospital reminded him of the gravity of his past negligence and the fragility of life. He used the silence to think about how he would handle his relationship with Anna and Lucia moving forward, determined not to let his past dictate his present. When Lucia woke up, her ease met John's, and for a moment they simply shared the silence, a language they had learned to understand in recent weeks. "John, I never thought I'd see you again, let alone under these circumstances," Lucia said, her voice still weak but clear. "I know, Lucia, and there aren't enough words to express how sorry I am. But I'm here now, and I'm here to stay," John responded, taking her hand. Lucia nodded slightly, a mix of emotions crossing her face. "It's hard for me to accept all this after so much time. But I see what you're doing for Anna, and that means a lot," she admitted, her voice trembling with emotion. John leaned forward, his expression serious and sincere. "Lucia, part of me wants to fix our past, but I know some things are irreparable. However, what I can do is build a future for Anna and make sure you're okay. That's the least I can do." Lucia closed her eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. "I'm scared, John, scared of expecting too much, and then—" "I won't leave you, Lucia, not you or Anna. I'm here, not just out of obligation, but because it's the right thing, because it's what I want," John interrupted firmly. The sound of the door opening interrupted their conversation. Anna entered, carrying a small bouquet of fresh flowers she had picked from the hospital garden. Her presence seemed to brighten the room, a welcome contrast to the grey of the rainy day. "How are you feeling, Mum?" Anna asked, approaching the bed and placing the flowers on a nearby table. "Better now that you're here, darling," Lucia replied, a smile crossing her face as she looked at her daughter. John watched the interaction between mother and daughter, feeling a mix of joy and pain. Joy at the obvious connection they shared, and pain for the lost years he could never get back. "Anna, why don't you tell your mother about the music school?" John suggested, shifting the topic to something lighter. Anna perked up, beginning to share her recent experiences in music classes, the new friends she was making, and how she was learning not just about music, but also about life. As Anna spoke, John and Lucia shared a look, a tacit understanding that despite the challenges, they were on the path to something better. For the first time in a long while, John felt he could look to the future with hope. A future where he, Lucia, and Anna could find peace and perhaps, in time, something resembling happiness. In the days that followed, John found himself often in reflection, thinking about how his life had radically changed since Anna's arrival. Not only had he reconfigured his relationship with Lucia and begun to build one with his daughter, but he had also revisited his own values and what Symphony represented as a space in the community. That morning, as he headed to a meeting with Lucia's medical team to discuss her treatment progress, John felt a weight of responsibility, but also a clear sense of purpose. At the hospital, the doctors gave him good news. Lucia was responding well to the treatment, and although the road to recovery would be long, there were reasons to be optimistic. "Thank you, Doctor. Please continue doing everything you can. Spare no resources for her," John said firmly. With that good news in hand, John went to pick up Anna, who had been taking music classes at a nearby academy. He wanted to share the good news with her and discuss some plans for the future. "Anna, your mother is improving. The doctors are hopeful," John began, watching the expression of relief spread across Anna's face. "That's wonderful," Anna exclaimed, her voice filled with joy. "Thank you for everything you're doing, John." "Speaking of doing, there's something else I need to discuss with you," John said, pausing to choose his words carefully. "Symphony has become more than just a restaurant under my direction. I want it to be a gathering place where talent and compassion meet, and I want you to be part of this project, not just as a singer, but as an inspiration for other young people." Anna listened intently, her eyes shining with excitement and a bit of uncertainty. "What exactly does that mean?" she asked. "It means that in addition to your music education, I want you to participate in some charity events we're planning. Events that help others who are in difficult situations, like you were," John explained. "And over time, you might even help choose whom we support." Anna nodded, understanding and enthusiastic about the opportunity to make a difference. "I'd love to help. I always wanted to do something more, something that mattered," Anna responded, her determination clear in her voice. With Anna on board with the new philanthropic focus of Symphony, John felt even more confident that they were on the right path. They were not only healing as a family, but also extending that healing to the community. As the days passed and the plans materialized, Symphony began to transform. It was no longer just a place where the city's elite came to dine, but a place where music and generosity intertwined to create something truly special. Anna quickly became the young face of these initiatives, her personal story resonating with many and her talent drawing even more. John watched all of this, knowing he had made the right decision. The transformation of Symphony and his growing relationship with Anna and Lucia had given him a new direction and purpose in life, one he had never imagined but now fully embraced. The transformation of Symphony into a cultural and philanthropic center under Anna's influence was in full swing, with charity events and benefit concerts filling the calendar. The energy in the restaurant was palpable, and each event seemed to bring more support and recognition from the community. John felt rejuvenated, with a sense of purpose that had been absent for a long time. However, this wave of success and renewal was abruptly interrupted by a call he received one afternoon while overseeing preparations for an upcoming concert at the restaurant. It was the hospital, and the news was devastating. Lucia had suffered sudden complications and her health had deteriorated drastically. John felt as if the ground had disappeared beneath his feet. Dropping everything, he rushed to the hospital, calling Anna to meet him there. The journey to the hospital was torturous, every red light and traffic delay adding to his anguish and fear. When he arrived at the hospital, he found Anna already there, waiting in the lobby, her face pale and her wide, fearful eyes reflecting his own unease. Without words, they walked together to Lucia's room, where the doctors explained that despite all efforts, Lucia was not responding to the treatment as they had hoped. "I'm very sorry, we're doing everything we can, but you need to prepare for the worst," the doctor said gently but firmly. John and Anna entered Lucia's room, where she lay, noticeably more fragile than the last time John had seen her. They took seats on either side of her bed, holding her hands, feeling the coldness of her skin. Lucia slowly opened her eyes and smiled at them sadly. "I'm so glad you're here," she murmured with difficulty. "We're with you, Lucia. We're not going to leave you alone," John said, struggling to maintain his composure. Lucia nodded slightly, her gaze shifting from John to Anna, a glimmer of love and farewell in her eyes. "Take care of our daughter, John. She's the best part of me." Her final words were a whisper, a final plea to John. Shortly after, surrounded by John and Anna, Lucia closed her eyes for the last time, leaving. A painful silence in her wake. The loss was a devastating blow to both, but especially to Anna, who suddenly found herself without her greatest support and guide. After handling the hospital arrangements and preparing for the funeral, John and Anna found themselves sitting on a bench outside the hospital, watching the world continue despite their immense grief. "Anna, I'm going to be here for you now and always. Your mother wanted that, and I want it too. We'll face this together," John said, putting an arm around Anna's shoulders, promising her support and protection. Anna leaned into him, tears streaming down her cheeks, feeling the reality of her new life without her mother. Yet in her heart, a determination began to form, driven by the desire to honor her mother's memory and the hopes Lucia had placed in her. In the days that followed, while Symphony observed a respectful silence, John and Anna began to chart a path forward, a path Lucia had dreamed for them, filled with music, love, and above all, a renewed commitment to making the world a better place. Lucia's passing left a deep void in Anna and John's lives, a void that echoed through the halls of Symphony. However, John knew they had to keep moving forward, not just to honor Lucia's memory, but also to uphold the spirit of renewal and community commitment he had begun to infuse into the restaurant. As Symphony resumed its usual rhythm, Anna found herself facing the reality of continuing without her mother. John, aware of her pain, supported her both emotionally and professionally, encouraging her to keep participating in events and in the management of the restaurant as a way to channel her grief into something productive and positive. However, not everyone at the restaurant was happy with the recent changes and Anna's growing influence. Some long-time employees and certain regular customers began to express their dissatisfaction, feeling that the original essence of Symphony was being lost in what they perceived as an overly philanthropic focus, moving away from the haute cuisine and exclusivity that had defined the restaurant for years. "I don't understand why we have to change what has always worked," commented one of the senior chefs, clearly frustrated during a staff meeting. "Symphony is more than a restaurant, it's a community, and as a community, we have a responsibility to support and uplift those among us who need help," John responded calmly, though his patience was being tested. Tension in the team grew when a planned charity event didn't raise the expected funds and the criticisms became harsher. John found himself defending his vision more than once, which tested his leadership and his resolve. "John, do you really think this is what Symphony should be?" Beth asked him in private, concerned about the direction the restaurant was taking. "I believe in this more than anything before, and I believe that Anna, with her talent and her story, is essential to this new chapter. We need to give it time," John explained, convinced that they were on the right path despite the obstacles. Meanwhile, Anna was facing her own challenges. Although some employees and customers supported her, others looked at her with skepticism, doubting her abilities and her role in the restaurant's future. However, with John's constant support and the love for music her mother had instilled in her, Anna began to gain confidence in herself. "I'm going to prove that I can do this for my mother and for everyone who believes in me," she told herself, practicing on the empty stage after hours, her voice resonating in the silence with renewed strength. The chapter ends with Anna on stage during another charity event, this time with better attendance and a warmer reception. As she sings, there's a moment when the audience falls completely silent, captivated by her voice and her passion. At the end of her performance, the applause is thunderous, and even the most skeptical can't help but be moved by her performance. John watches from the shadows, a feeling of pride and hope filling him as Anna receives her ovation. Despite the challenges, he feels that Symphony is finally beginning to embody the vision of community and support that he had dreamed of, and Anna is emerging not only as a talented singer, but as a symbol of what the restaurant aspires to be. The atmosphere in Symphony was electric as they prepared for the most ambitious event to date, a grand charity concert to raise funds for a local foundation that supported underprivileged young artists. John had decided that this event would not only be a showcase of talent and generosity, but also an opportunity to solidify the restaurant's new focus on social and community responsibility. Anna was at the center of the organization, working closely with John. Although she initially felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of the event, her confidence had grown significantly, thanks to John's unwavering support and the increasing recognition of her talent and effort from the community and her colleagues. "Everything looks incredible, Anna. Your mother would be so proud of you right now," John said, watching as Anna supervised the arrangement of chairs and the stage. "Thank you, John. This means a lot to me, to do something that would have made my mother happy," Anna responded, her voice filled with emotion and determination. On the night of the event, Symphony was packed to capacity. The community had responded overwhelmingly, with tickets sold out and numerous donations. The local press was also present, capturing every moment, which added to the pressure, but also to the excitement of everyone involved. The program included several local artists, but the climax of the night would be Anna's performance. Her presence on stage had become something many looked forward to, and that night was no exception. When her turn came, Anna stepped onto the stage in an elegant yet simple dress, her presence both humble and magnetic. As the first notes of her song filled the room, a wave of silence fell, followed by the audience's rapt attention. Her voice, clear and emotional, told stories of struggle, hope and triumph, resonating deeply with many in the room. At the end of her performance, the audience rose in a standing ovation. The applause thundering in the restaurant transformed into a concert hall. Anna, overcome with emotion, thanked the audience, dedicating her performance to her mother and to all those who, like her, struggled to find their voice and their way. Tonight is not just about raising funds, but about remembering that we all have the power to make a difference in someone's life. "Thank you for believing in this project and in me," Anna said, her voice firm and clear, earning more applause and admiration. John, watching from the back, felt a mix of relief, pride, and a renewed sense of purpose. The night had been a resounding success, not only in terms of funds raised, but also in strengthening the community around Symphony and its new mission. After the event, as guests began to disperse, John approached Anna, placing a hand on her shoulder. "You did something incredible tonight, Anna. I'm sure this is just the beginning of many good things to come for Symphony and for you." Anna smiled, exhausted but happy, knowing that in some way she had managed to continue her mother's legacy and start her own, all while helping Symphony find its new voice in the community. In the wake of the successful charity event, Symphony found itself at a new peak of recognition and community support. Although Lucia was no longer there to see the fruits of this new chapter, her inspiring spirit remained as a guide for Anna and John, who continued to move forward with their shared vision. However, in the silence of the early morning, when the bustle of the restaurant and events had faded, Anna often found herself contemplating the portrait of her mother hanging in her room. Lucia's smile in the photograph constantly reminded her of why she kept fighting and why every note she sang carried a piece of her heart and her story. John, for his part, found himself increasingly immersed in the projects at Symphony, ensuring that every event and every dish served maintained the essence of quality and commitment they had promised. Lucia's absence was a void that deeply affected him as well, for in their time together and reconciliation, he had found not only forgiveness, but also a renewed passion for life. One afternoon, while reviewing the details of an upcoming scholarship program for young artists in memory of Lucia, John received a call from the director of the music school where Anna was studying. They invited him to attend a special performance where Anna would be the star, showcasing not only her growth as a singer, but also debuting a piece she had composed in honor of her mother. On the day of the event, the auditorium of the music school was filled with students, teachers, and various members of the community that Symphony had begun to attract with its initiatives. John sat in the front row, his heart pounding with a mixture of paternal nervousness and anticipated pride. When Anna appeared on stage, the auditorium fell into a respectful silence. Dressed in an elegant blue dress that highlighted her eyes, Anna looked both vulnerable and majestic. As she began to sing, her voice filled the space with palpable emotion, each word and note vibrating with the sincerity and passion she had poured into her composition. The song was an ode to Lucia, a blend of melancholy and hope, of loss and enduring love. The lyrics spoke of the light that Lucia had been in her life and how that light continued to guide her every day. As the song reached its climax, there wasn't a dry eye in the auditorium, and when Anna finished, the silence was broken by a standing ovation that lasted several minutes. John, deeply moved, was one of the last to stop applauding. As the auditorium began to empty, he approached the stage to embrace Anna, who was descending with tears in her eyes but a radiant smile on her face. "I'm so proud of you, Anna. Your mother would be too," John said, his voice trembling with emotion. "Thank you, John. Without you and everything Symphony has done for me, I don't know if I would have made it this far," Anna responded, hugging him tightly. In the days that followed, Anna's song spread beyond the walls of the music school, becoming a symbol of the resilience and hope that Symphony promoted. John, seeing the impact Anna was having, felt even more motivated to expand Symphony's support programs, ensuring that Lucia's legacy and the new life they had built together continued to inspire others. With Anna's song resonating in the hearts of all who heard it, Symphony became more than a restaurant. It was now a symbol of hope and redemption, a place where people could not only enjoy a culinary and musical experience, but also encounter stories of personal triumph and community. Anna's popularity grew, and with it, Symphony's reputation as a space where emerging talents could shine. The arrival of spring brought with it a renewed energy. John decided it was the right time to organize a special event, a celebration not only of music and art, but also of life and Lucia's legacy. This event would mark a rebirth for both Symphony and for all those who had been touched by Anna and her mother's story. The plan was ambitious, a weekend-long music and art festival featuring live performances, exhibitions by local artists, and workshops for young musicians and artists. All proceeds would go to a new foundation John had created in Lucia's honor, dedicated to supporting single mothers and their children in vulnerable situations, providing educational and artistic resources. Anna was deeply involved in the preparations. As the event date approached, she took charge of selecting the invited artists, coordinating the workshops, and rehearsing intensely for her own performance, which would be the festival's closing act. Her dedication and passion were evident, and John couldn't help but feel immense pride as he watched how she had grown and become a strong and determined young woman. The first day of the festival arrived with clear skies and perfect weather. The doors of Symphony opened early, and the plaza in front of the restaurant quickly filled with families, young artists, and community members, all eager to participate in what promised to be an unforgettable event. The restaurant itself had been transformed. The tables had been replaced with booths where artists displayed their works, and a large stage had been set up in the center of the plaza, adorned with flowers and lights that gave it a festive and warm atmosphere. The first performances were a resounding success. Local groups and soloists, many of them supported by Symphony's programs, offered their talent to the public, who responded with enthusiasm and appreciation. As John walked among the crowd, he paused to talk with attendees, listening to their stories and sharing the vision of what Symphony had become. "It's incredible what you've achieved here, John," one of the attendees, an old friend and colleague from the early days of the restaurant, said to him. "This is much more than a restaurant now. It's a true legacy." "Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without Anna. She's been the heart of all this," John replied sincerely, pointing to Anna, who at that moment was helping a group of children prepare their instruments for a performance. The afternoon continued with more performances and workshops that captured everyone's attention. The children participating in the workshops showed their enthusiasm and talent, and the visual artists presented their works inspired by themes of resilience and hope, reflecting the spirit of Symphony. As night fell, the lights on the main stage lit up, announcing Anna's performance. The audience gathered expectantly, many of them having followed her story from the beginning and now eager to see her on stage once again. Anna stepped onto the stage with a confident and calm presence. She wore a simple white dress, symbolizing purity and rebirth. Silence fell over the crowd as she took the microphone, and with a warm smile, she began to speak. "Thank you all for being here tonight. This festival is a tribute to my mother, Lucia, who taught me to find my voice and believe in the power of music and art to heal and unite people. Everything we do here at Symphony is to honor her memory and to ensure that others have the opportunities she gave me," she said, her voice firm but filled with emotion. The audience responded with enthusiastic applause, and Anna, her eyes shining with determination, began to sing. The song she chose for this night was a new composition, a piece that reflected her journey from loss to healing, from pain to hope. The melody was melancholic yet powerful, and her voice, full of nuances and emotions, took the audience on a profound journey. As Anna sang, John, standing to the side of the stage, watched with tears in his eyes. Every note, every word of the song resonated with him, not only as a testament to Anna's strength, but also as a reaffirmation of his own decision to change and to dedicate himself to something greater than himself. The song reached its climax with a crescendo that left the audience breathless, and when it ended, the silence was quickly replaced by a wave of applause and cheers. Anna, with tears of gratitude in her eyes, took a bow and thanked the audience, knowing that she had fulfilled her promise to honor her mother and to give purpose to her talent. After the performance, as the attendees began to leave and the Symphony team started dismantling the stage, John and Anna met in the center of the plaza, where the festival's energy still lingered. "You were wonderful, Anna. Lucia would be so proud of you," John said, hugging her tightly. "Thank you, John. I couldn't have done it without you. This festival, all of this, is also thanks to you. You've made Symphony a place where dreams can come true," Anna replied, her voice full of sincerity. As they embraced, both felt that despite the pain and difficulties, they had found a new purpose and a new family in Symphony. They knew there were more challenges to come, but they also knew that together they could face them and continue building a legacy that not only honored Lucia, but also inspired everyone who passed through Symphony to believe in the power of music, art, and community. With the festival over and the echo of Anna's final performance still resonating in the air, Symphony was preparing to take a new step in its evolution. The transformation of the restaurant into a space for community gathering, support, and artistic expression was complete. But John and Anna knew this was not the end, but the beginning of a new chapter in their lives. In the days following the festival, Symphony was buzzing with activity. Local newspapers published extensive reports on the event, highlighting not only Anna's brilliant performance, but also the impact Symphony was having on the community. The foundation in memory of Lucia received an avalanche of donations, allowing John and Anna to plan the expansion of their scholarship programs and support more young artists and single mothers. One day, while John was reviewing the financial reports and thank you letters from people who had been touched by the foundation, Anna walked into his office with a radiant smile. "John, you have to see this," she said, handing him a letter. John opened it with curiosity. It was a letter from the country's most prestigious music university, inviting Anna to a special audition for their full scholarship program, an opportunity that not only confirmed Anna's talent, but also all the hard work and dedication she had put into her art. "Anna, this is incredible," John said, feeling a mix of pride and excitement. "I knew this day would come, but still, it's a huge achievement." "I couldn't have done it without you, without everything you've done for me and my mother," Anna replied, her voice full of gratitude. "But there's something I want to do before making a decision." John looked at her with curiosity. "What's that?" "I want to visit the Sierra de Cazorla, the place where it all began for my mother. I want to feel that connection with her before taking the next step in my life," Anna explained. John nodded, understanding the importance of that journey. "We'll do it together. It's the least I can do for you and for Lucia," John responded. So a few days later, John and Anna set out on the journey to the mountains of the Sierra de Cazorla. The road wound through majestic landscapes covered in lush greenery that seemed to symbolize a rebirth, a new beginning for both of them. The journey was filled with reflective silences, interspersed with conversations about the future and memories of the past. Upon reaching the small village where Lucia had lived, they were greeted by the same fresh, pure air that John remembered from his youth. The place seemed frozen in time, with its stone houses and cobblestone streets speaking of simplicity and tranquility. However, this time, what he felt was not the melancholy of a broken promise, but a sense of closure and peace. They walked to the clearing where Lucia used to take Anna when she was little, a place where nature met the sky, offering a stunning view of the mountains. Anna sat on a rock, closed her eyes and took a deep breath, as if trying to capture her mother's essence in the air. "My mother used to tell me about this place, about how she found peace here. Now I understand," Anna said softly. John sat beside her, sharing the silence that only nature can offer. After a while, he took Anna's hand. "Lucia would be proud of you, Anna. Everything you've achieved, you've done with a strength and grace that only she could have given you," John said, his words full of sincerity. Anna smiled, her eyes filled with tears that held not sadness but gratitude and love. "Thank you, John. Thank you for being the person who helped me get here, for keeping the promise you made to my mother," Anna said, squeezing his hand. They spent the rest of the day exploring the village, talking with some of the neighbors who still remembered Lucia and her family. Anna heard stories about her mother that she had never heard before, anecdotes that made her feel closer to Lucia and more determined to follow in her footsteps. When it was time to leave, Anna and John bid farewell to the village with the feeling that, although they were closing a chapter, they were also opening another full of possibilities. Back in the city, life at Symphony continued with its vibrant rhythm. John, inspired by the trip, decided to incorporate more elements of Sierra de Cazorla's culture into the restaurant, from the ingredients used in the dishes to the music played live. It was his way of keeping Lucia's memory alive and showing Anna that her legacy would live on through everything they did. Finally, the day of Anna's audition arrived. John accompanied her to the university, where the anticipation in the air was palpable. Anna, dressed in a simple yet elegant white dress, took a deep breath before entering the auditorium. John watched her from a distance, feeling a mix of nervousness and pride, knowing that this was a pivotal moment in her life. When Anna stepped onto the stage and began to sing, the auditorium fell into absolute silence. Her voice, laden with emotion and impeccable technique, filled the space with an intensity that seemed to touch the souls of everyone present. It wasn't just a performance, it was a testament to her journey, her pain, her hope, and her love for the music that her mother had instilled in her. At the end of the song, the auditorium erupted in applause, and John knew in that instant that Anna had left an indelible impression. When she came off the stage, she ran to John and hugged him tightly. "I did it, John. I did it for Mom, for you, for all of us," Anna said, tears of joy in her eyes. "I'm so proud of you, Anna. This is just the beginning of something incredible," John replied, embracing her with equal emotion. Days later, the university confirmed that Anna had been accepted into their program with a full scholarship. It was the culmination of a journey filled with challenges, but also the start of a new adventure. John and Anna celebrated with a special dinner at Symphony, surrounded by friends, colleagues, and members of the community who had become their family. During the dinner, John stood up to make a toast. To Anna for her incredible talent and dedication, to Lucia, whose spirit lives on in everything we do, and to Symphony, which has shown that with love and effort we can overcome any obstacle and build something beautiful. The future is ours, and it's full of possibilities. Cheers, John said, raising his glass. The crowd responded with cheers and applause, and Anna, moved, did the same. That night, as the lights of Symphony shone in the darkness, John and Anna sat together, watching as the restaurant filled with laughter and music. They had come a long way, and although the journey had been difficult, they knew they were in the right place. Anna, looking at John, felt a deep gratitude for everything he had done for her and her mother. She knew that with him by her side, she could face anything the future might hold. "We're going to achieve great things, John, I know it," Anna said, her voice full of confidence. "Yes, Anna, and we'll do it together as we always have," John responded, taking her hand affectionately. As the music continued and laughter filled the air, John and Anna knew that, although the chapter had come to an end, the story of Symphony was just beginning. They looked forward to a future full of promises, confident that the best was yet to come. The story of Symphony is a powerful reflection on the power of redemption, love, and community. Through music and perseverance, John and Anna managed to transform a place dedicated to luxury into a sanctuary of hope and support for those who need it most. Lucia's memory, her love, and sacrifice serve as a beacon that guides their actions and decisions. In the end, the story reminds us that, despite the losses and mistakes of the past, there is always an opportunity to rebuild, heal, and create a lasting legacy, not only in our own lives, but also in those we touch with our actions. And thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the story of Symphony. I hope you enjoyed every moment as much as we did sharing it with you. Remember, no matter how difficult the challenges you face, there is always a chance to redeem ourselves and build something beautiful. If you liked this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our next stories full of inspiration and emotion. See you in the next chapter of this wonderful journey. Until next time.